You are sitting inside a Formula One car. The engine vibrates through your spine. Your engineer is speaking through the radio. You can barely hear him over your heartbeat. 19 cars wait around you. The 5 red lights begin to appear. 8 years ago, you destroyed the only racing machine your family could afford. You walked away from the wreck. You did not walk away from the debt. Now the lights are almost out. In 5 seconds, you find out whether you came all this way to race, or only to lose everything again. Level 1, the obsessed kid. You are 9 years old. You know the sound of a sports car before you see it. You draw racing circuits on the backs of your school books. The kitchen tiles become corners. The hallway becomes a straight. Every Sunday, your father wakes you before sunrise. The television is old. The picture shakes. The volume stays low so your mother can sleep. You do not understand tire strategy. You do not understand aerodynamics. You understand speed. You watch drivers climb from their cars after the race. They look exhausted. They also look like they belong somewhere no ordinary person can reach. One afternoon, you find a karting school online. You show it to your father. He asks how much one season costs. He reads the number twice. Then he turns the phone face down on the table. He tells you, maybe one day. He does not say no. He does not need to. Your father works 6 days a week. The rent arrives every month. So do the electricity bill, the food bill, and the repairs on the car that takes him to work. You learn your first rule of racing. Talent gets noticed. Money gets you to the starting line. You decide you will earn your own way there. Level 2, the car washer. You are 15 years old. The car wash opens at 7. By 8, your shoes are already wet. By noon, detergent has entered the cracks in your hands. You wash cars owned by people who never ask your name. You clean leather seats worth more than everything in your bedroom. Sometimes, the manager lets you move a car from the entrance to the drying bay. 5 meters. That is all. You sit behind the wheel and memorize everything. The weight of the steering. The position of the pedals. The way the engine responds before the car moves. You save every note and every coin. Your friends spend the summer at the beach. You spend it breathing soap, rubber, and hot exhaust. At night, you count the money inside a metal tin beneath your bed. Your girlfriend helps you search classified listings. Your father calls sellers after work. Most of the carts are too expensive. The cheap ones are broken. After 2 summers, you find one that is both. The paint is faded. The seat is too small. The brakes pull left. The engine leaks fuel onto the floor. You ask your father what he thinks. He stares at it for 10 seconds. Then he rolls up his sleeves. We can fix it. For the first time, the dream has 4 wheels. Level 3, the kart racer. You are 17 years old. Your first race begins before sunrise. Other families arrive with spare engines, new tires, and folding garages. You arrive with 1 cart, 1 engine, 1 set of used tires, and your father's toolbox. The first time you drive onto the circuit, your hands shake inside the gloves. The cart sits inches above the asphalt. Every vibration enters your ribs. Every mistake happens immediately. You qualify last. You finish last. Your father still writes your lap time on the garage wall. The next weekend, you finish 12th, then 9th, then 6th. You learn to brake after your fear tells you to. You learn to move your weight through the corner. You learn that half a second can hide in the way you release 1 pedal. Your father repairs the engine beneath the light of his phone. You sleep in the car because the nearest hotel costs too much. Your girlfriend holds a stopwatch and records every race on a cracked screen. At the end of the season, you win a small regional event. The trophy is plastic. You place it in the center of the kitchen table. Your father looks at it longer than anyone else. The next season, a local business owner offers to sponsor 1 race. 1 result could pay for the next month. 1 bad weekend could end everything. Then it rains. Your tires are older than everyone else's. You are running 4th. A gap opens on the inside. It is small. You know the track is wet. You know the cart may not stop. You also know the sponsor is watching. You brake late. The rear slides. The steering goes light. The barrier arrives before the fear does. You wake beside the circuit. Your helmet is cracked. Your father is running toward you. The doctor says you are lucky. Behind him, your cart is folded around the barrier. You are alive. The dream is not. For the first time in 8 years, you stop watching Formula One. Level 4, the comeback driver. You are 18 years old. You work in a repair shop. You rebuild engines for people who will drive them to offices, supermarkets, and schools. When a race appears on television, you change the channel. You remove the circuit maps from your wall. You tell people you grew out of it. Your girlfriend does not argue. She watched you wake inside the medical tent. She watched your father sell tools to pay the remaining bills. A year passes. On your birthday, she gives you an envelope. Inside is a ticket to a professional race. You try to return it. She pushes it back. You do not have to race. You only have to watch. The first car passes before you can see it. The sound enters your chest. The ground moves beneath your shoes. You smell fuel, hot brakes, and burned rubber. A pit crew changes 4 tires in seconds. A driver climbs from the cockpit with his suit soaked through. Nothing about it looks easy. Nothing about it looks safe. You want it again. You borrow a cart from the workshop owner. You return to the local circuit after closing time. The first wet corner makes your hands lock around the wheel. You lift. Then you go around again. On the next lap, you lift less. You begin racing again. You win a local championship in a borrowed machine. A small sponsor offers to pay for one Formula 4 test. The contract fits on 1 page. So does the warning. No result means no second test. Level 5, the junior Formula driver. You thought returning to racing was the difficult part. Then you arrive at Formula 4. Every driver here was the fastest child in their town. Some started racing at 4 years old. Some arrive with coaches, engineers, and family money. You arrive with one sponsor, and a contract that ends if you stop producing results. In karting, talent made you unusual. Here, everyone has talent. Money decides who gets another season. Results decide who gets another weekend. You are 21 years old. The Formula 4 car is not a larger kart. The brakes require more force than you expect. The steering becomes heavier with speed. The belts crush your shoulders into the seat. After 10 laps, your neck begins to fail. After 20, your lap times begin to fail with it. You train before sunrise. You run with weights attached to your helmet. You study data after everyone leaves. You finish your first year without winning. You keep the seat because you stop making the same mistake twice. A second sponsor appears, then a third. You move into Formula 3. The hotels become better. The pressure does not. Every race is watched by people who never introduce themselves. You do not know which lap may decide the next 5 years of your life. At a wet race, the old fear returns. Water covers the braking zone. For 1 second, you see the broken kart again. This time, you do not attack the gap. You wait. The driver ahead locks his tires. You pass him on the exit. Then another. Then another. You win in the rain. The thing that ended your first career becomes the reason the second one survives. You reach Formula 2, then a Formula 1 driver academy. You spend hundreds of hours inside a simulator. You learn the steering wheel before you touch the real car. You become a reserve driver. You wear the team uniform. You attend every briefing. You watch someone else drive. Before qualifying at one race, the main driver cannot continue. The team principal does not congratulate you. He asks whether your body fits inside the seat. Level 6, the Formula 1 driver. You are 26 years old. The 5th red light appears. Then all 5 disappear. You release the clutch. The car launches harder than anything you have driven. The first corner arrives while your engineer is still speaking. Another car fills your mirror. Your neck fights the force. Your hands fight the steering. Your mind tries to process tire temperature, battery deployment, brake balance, and 19 other drivers at the same time. You do not win. You barely finish. Your hands shake when you climb out. Your teammate finishes ahead of you. The next morning, every article compares your lap times. The team gives you another race, then another. You score your first point after a driver ahead receives a penalty. It is not how you imagined it. You keep it anyway. Months later, you reach your first podium. 2 years later, you win. Your father stands below the podium. He is older now. His hands are still marked from work. Inside his jacket is the spark plug from your first kart. The kart he could not afford to replace. The machine he helped you build anyway. You raise the trophy. The cameras see a Formula 1 winner. Your father sees the child on the kitchen floor, pushing toy cars between the tiles. You spent your childhood trying to earn this seat. Now every race is an audition to keep it. Each season, a younger driver arrives. Faster, cheaper, less injured. You no longer drive only to win. You drive so the team does not give your dream to somebody else. Somewhere, a child watches you on an old television. He turns to his father. He asks for a kart. His father searches for the price. He reads the number twice. Then he turns the phone face down on the table. The lights go out. The race begins again.